You are not the body. You are not the mind. You are not the name you were given at birth. You are not your circumstances, your failures, or even your triumphs. You are pure imagination, the eternal I am, the indwelling Christ. And if you would only recognize this, not just with your intellect, but with the deep knowing that comes in stillness, then you would know what it means to let go, to relax, and to trust the universe. Letting go is not an act of giving up. It is the greatest act of faith. For to let go is to acknowledge that the power within you is greater than any effort you could make. When you let go, you cease to force things into existence. You stop manipulating the outer world, and instead you assume the inner state that aligns with your desire. In that assumption, the world bends to you. But first, you must trust. You must relax into the knowing that the Father within you doeth the work. Do not misunderstand the word relax. It does not mean idleness or passivity. It means surrender. And surrender is the highest vibration of power. When you relax, you are declaring that it is already done, that there is nothing more for you to do, nothing more for you to strive toward. It is in this state of peace that manifestations unfold with elegance and precision. You do not create by effort. You create by knowing. You do not attract by chasing. You attract by being. When you close your eyes at night and enter into the silence, you meet the real you, the operant power, the one who can revise the past, change the present, and unfold the future. That still small voice within, that quiet I am, is the very universe you are asked to trust. To trust the universe is to trust yourself, for there is no separation. The world is yourself pushed out, and to attempt to control the external while neglecting the internal is to deny your divine origin. Letting go begins the moment you stop seeking confirmation from the world. The world is only a mirror. If you persist in looking to it for signs, for proofs, for validation, you remain a slave to circumstance. But when you dare to feel the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you truly sink into it and live from it, you have let go of the old man and taken on the new. You are no longer the one who hopes. You are now the one who knows. There is a sacred art to trusting the unseen. It is the art of assuming. When you assume a thing to be true, without evidence, without argument, without contradiction, you place your order in the invisible. And if you persist in that assumption, the visible must comply. The law cannot fail. It has no choice but to match your inner conviction. But you must be still. You must rest in that knowing and let the old world die. For the old world cannot come with you into your new state. The caterpillar must surrender to the cocoon before it can emerge as the butterfly. The more you try to force a manifestation, the more you affirm its absence. The more you talk about it, worry about it, strategize for it, the more you remain in the state of not having it. And that is why many fail to receive what they desire. They have not let go. They still seek. They still beg. But desire is not fulfilled by pleading. It is fulfilled by assuming. The end of yearning is receiving, and receiving is the fruit of inner acceptance. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot say, I have it, and simultaneously dwell in fear that it may not arrive. You cannot imagine a thing clearly and then go out into the world and speak of its impossibility. If your inner conversation contradicts your desire, then the desire is not your dominant state. Change your inner speech. Talk to yourself as if it is already so. Feel the tones of reality. Hear the congratulatory phone call. Walk with the posture of someone who has already won. This is the way. Not by might nor by power, but by spirit. Relaxation is receptivity. It is stillness. It is the fertile soil into which the seed of imagination is planted. If you plant the seed and then dig it up every day to check on it, it will never grow. The universe is no different. Assume your wish has already been granted. Feel the relief. Smile at the invisible. Rest knowing that your part is done. The rest is automatic. The bridge of incidents will unfold on its own. You are not responsible for the how. You are only responsible for the state. This is the secret. Everything is already finished. You are not creating something new. You are selecting from what already is. In the infinite imagination of God, all things exist. Every possibility, Every outcome, every version of you already lives. You simply align with it by assuming its reality. You step into that version of yourself, and the world reconfigures to match. But only when you trust, only when you relax, only when you release the need to make it happen. Many say, I've been visualizing, I've been affirming, but nothing is changing. That is because they are holding on. They are clinging to the desire rather than dwelling in its fulfillment. Their faith is still in the external, not in the internal. They wait for the world to prove their assumption, instead of letting their assumption prove the world. But you must flip this. You must put the weight of your belief on the unseen. That is the only way to make it seen. Trusting the universe is not blind. It is spiritual sight. You see with the eyes of imagination. You walk by faith, not by facts. You speak as if the thing you desire has already been received, because in the higher realms it already has. Time is but a construct. In imagination, everything is now. And the moment you truly accept a new state, everything shifts to support it. People move, events align, doors open. But not because you forced it, because you surrendered. What is surrender but the silent agreement with God that you are what you desire to be? What is letting go but the refusal to entertain anything contrary to your vision? It is not weakness, it is mastery. The one who can rest in faith is the one who commands the world. The one who can sit in silence and know it is done is the one who shapes destiny. The one who needs no external proof is the one who becomes the proof. So go within, shut the door, enter the secret place, and from that stillness, declare who you are. Not with your lips, but with your feeling. Let the feeling become your dwelling place. Let it saturate your every thought, and then release. Don't ask when or how or through whom. That is not your concern. If it were your concern, then you would be God, and the world would be your burden. But you are not here to carry burdens. You are here to remember that your Father has already provided. You must become like a child. A child does not doubt when their parent promises a gift. A child receives in innocence, in simplicity, in joy. So must you return to that state. Become light again. Let the weight of worry fall off. Let go of timing. Let go of details. Let go of needing it. For the moment you no longer need it, it is yours. The moment you release your grasp, it finds you. That is the paradox of creation. That is the mystery of trust. Think not of the world. Think only of the state. The world is always reflecting the state. Change the state, and the world must change. That is the law. You cannot be in the state of wealth and see poverty. You cannot be in the state of love and experience rejection. If what you see does not match what you desire, do not be deceived. It is only a shadow of an old state. Persist in the new one. Let it impress itself upon your being. And wait, not with impatience, but with peace. I tell you now, the moment you let go, the current carries you. The river does not need your paddling. It flows toward your destination with or without your effort. But if you resist, if you try to control it, you create turbulence. You disturb what would otherwise be smooth. Your job is not to row. Your job is to trust the current. That current is your inner knowing. It is your assumption. It is the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Dwell in that feeling and the world bends. Do not confuse doing with being. You do not need to do more. You need to be more. Be more of who you truly are. Be the version of you that already has the thing. Speak like them. Walk like them. Sleep like them. Imagine like them. That is the secret. And once you are them, there is nothing to seek, nothing to chase, nothing to wait for. You are already home. Relax. The universe is not outside of you. It is within you. You are the universe. You are the one who decides what reality reflects. And when you align with that truth, you no longer panic when things appear wrong. You no longer beg for signs or synchronicities. You simply know. You say, it is done, and go about your day. That is power. That is trust. That is how you let go. So tonight before you sleep, let go of the day. Let go of the fears, the doubts, the questions. Sink into your imagination. Feel the wish fulfilled. Hear the words you've longed to hear. See the world through the eyes of one who has already received. And then sleep. Drift into that sacred dream, knowing that the seed is planted. And tomorrow walk as though the harvest has come. You are not waiting on the universe. The universe is waiting on you to relax, to trust, to remember. You already are. You already have. You already know. So let go. Be still. And watch the world conform. As you rest in this knowing, allow the natural rhythm of life to carry you. Do not rush to interfere. Do not be anxious about the lack of movement. The most profound changes are often invisible at first. Just as a seed takes root before it ever breaks through the soil, your assumption takes root in the unseen. And the unseen is more real than the seen, for it is the cause, while the seen is only the effect. Those who walk by appearances are forever tossed by the winds of circumstance. But those who walk by inner vision, by the law of assumption, stand firm, even when the world tells them otherwise. You are called to move in faith, not because you are pretending, but because you are pretending, but because you are aligning. Pretending is hollow, assuming is alive. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to embody a higher reality now, not someday. And once you embody that reality inwardly, you can trust the outer world to reflect it in due course. The outer is always behind the inner. What you are now feeling will soon become what you are seeing. But it must begin with the feeling. That is why your primary work is not to manipulate events, but to control your inner state. Not with force, but with gentle attention. Not with panic, but with quiet conviction. Think of the many times you have tried to make something happen through effort. Think of the strain, the frustration, the exhaustion. And now, remember the moments when things simply fell into place, without warning, without struggle, as if by magic. That was not magic. That was the universe responding to your state. When you were relaxed, detached and aligned, the doors opened. When you were clinging, doubting, resisting, the doors remained shut. So the wise soul learns to let go, not because it is easy, but because it is effective. You let go, not to lose control, but to return to the only true control, inner dominion. What does inner dominion look like? It looks like a man or woman who no longer reacts, but chooses, who no longer fears, but imagines, who no longer begs, but lives as if their desire is already theirs. You have seen glimpses of this power in your own life. The moment you truly decided something, it happened. The moment you no longer entertained the opposite, the reality conformed. This is not coincidence. This is law. And the more you practice this law, the more natural it becomes. Relaxation is the soil in which belief takes root. If you affirm with your lips, but deny with your emotions, nothing will grow. But if you speak gently to yourself in the silence of your mind, if you dwell in the end with a calm certainty, then even the most stubborn reality must yield. The universe is not deaf. It is not blind. It is exact, and it answers every vibration with precision. If you emit doubt, you get more doubt. If you emit certainty, you get what certainty brings. There is no partial credit in this law. You receive according to your dominant state. So make peace your dominant state. Make fulfillment your home, not just a place you visit, but where you live. Do not concern yourself with the outer facts. They are only shadows of old beliefs. The moment you change the root, the branches must also change. The moment you revise the inner man, the outer world has no choice but to follow. For the outer is not creative, it is responsive. And you are not a victim of it, you are the cause of it. You are the one who sets the tone. So if the music of life is off key, change the vibration within. Tune your inner instrument. Feel again the beauty of your wish fulfilled. Hear again the sweet song of already having, and rest. Every great teacher has spoken of this power, whether they called it faith, imagination, spirit, or I am. The message was the same. The power is within you. And yet we forget. We look outside. We ask others for permission. We wait for circumstances to change. But nothing changes until we do. The moment you reclaim your imagination, you reclaim your world. And imagination needs relaxation, not effort. It blooms in stillness. It reveals its wonders when you trust. Let go of timing. Let go of comparison. Let go of watching the clock or measuring the process. These only serve to keep you in a state of not having. Instead, step into the timeless. Step into the eternal now. All things are now. You do not become. You simply reveal what you already are. And the fastest way to reveal it is to act as if, not to pretend, but to embody. Walk in it. Think from it. Love from it. Give from it, and life will mirror back the version of you that you have accepted. You may be tempted to say, but I don't see it yet. And to that I say, do not look with mortal eyes. See with the eye of imagination. the eye of God within you. That eye never closes, never sleeps, never doubts. When you see your desire in your mind's eye with clarity and feeling, you have planted the cause. The harvest must come. But like the farmer, you must let the soil do its work. You do not dig up the seed to make it grow faster. You do not pace through the fields to hurry the rain. You trust, you rest, and you know. If doubt arises, and it may, do not fight it. Do not panic. Simply return to the feeling, return to the state, re-enter the scene, revise it, reimagine it. For imagination is always open to you. It is the door to your freedom. You are never stuck unless you decide to be. You are never bound unless you accept the prison of appearances. But once you remember the secret, that your assumption creates your world, you are free. Do you want love? Assume you are already loved. Do you want wealth? Assume you are already wealthy. Do you want health? Assume you are already whole, and then walk in that identity. Let no thought, no word, no action contradict it. Let your entire being say yes to it, and let go of everything else. Let go of needing proof. Let go of needing reassurance. Let go of the habit of worry. These are only the old man trying to resurrect himself. But you are not him anymore. You are new. You have moved. You have changed states. When you change states, the world must follow. It has no choice. The world is clay, and your assumption is the mold. Form it gently, with faith, with joy, with the playful certainty of a child building a castle in the sand. The child does not worry about the waves. The child builds, the child enjoys, and so must you. Live in the state of already having, not just in words, but in mood, in tone, in vibration. That is the true letting go, not the absence of desire, but the absence of resistance. And so you live, you love, you breathe, you rest, all from the place of knowing that what you seek is already yours. There is nothing more to do, only more to be, and in being all things are added unto you. You begin to notice subtle changes around you, not because you went looking for them, but because you changed your internal atmosphere. People respond to you differently. Opportunities appear, where before there were none. Doors you never imagined begin to open with ease, and yet you do not chase them. You do not cling. You remain still inside, unshaken, because you know the truth of who you are, and what you have accepted as yours. The world simply mirrors back your state. And since your state is one of wholeness, of peace, of having, the world cannot help but reflect it in kind. Others may look upon you, and wonder at your calm. They may ask how you manage to remain so certain, so composed, in a world that seems so chaotic. But you know, your certainty is not based on external assurances. It is born from the inner sanctuary you have built. It is born from the practice of assumption. It is born from the understanding that you are not a servant to fate, but the master of your reality. And with this understanding, you do not need to fight. You do not need to beg. You simply persist in the inner knowing, and the universe takes care of the rest. To persist is not to strain. It is not to push harder. It is to rest more deeply in the assumption. It is to return to it every time the old self tries to speak. It is to say no, gently but firmly, to the voices of doubt. It is to re-enter the scene of your fulfilled desire, again and again, until it becomes your dwelling place. And in that dwelling you are fed, you are guided, you are sustained. You no longer reach for signs, you become the sign. You no longer seek validation, you radiate conviction. Your mere presence speaks of fulfillment, because it flows from within you like a quiet, unstoppable river. The more you relax, the more power you begin to notice in your imagination. The pictures become clearer. The feelings become deeper. You stop trying to control every little thing. And in that release, you gain a control greater than any force could ever give you. You realize the truth Neville taught, that imagining creates reality, not effort. You realize that by feeling the end, by accepting the outcome now, you have already done the greatest work. Everything that follows is simply the echo of your assumption made flesh. You are not here to suffer. You are not here to strive endlessly. You are here to awaken to your creative power. You are here to remember who you truly are, the operant power, the divine imagination, the I am. And once you truly remember, you no longer ask, when will it happen? You no longer beg the universe for crumbs. You realize that you are the baker, the oven, the flour, and the bread itself. Everything you desire is already within you, waiting for your belief to give it shape, waiting for your imagination to grant it birth. So you let go, not out of weakness, but from supreme trust. You trust the seed you have planted. You trust the process that follows. You trust the timing that may differ from your expectation, but is always perfect. You do not yank the flower from the ground to see if it is growing. You water it with faith. You shine light upon it with joy. You speak to it with love. This is how the new you blossoms. This is how the fulfilled version of yourself takes root in the world. The moment you truly let go, you begin to enjoy life again. You notice the beauty in small things. You appreciate the now because the now is no longer empty. It is pregnant with fulfillment. Even before the physical manifestation appears, your soul is full. You walk as one who already has. You breathe as one who already owns. You speak as one whose word is law. And the world begins to respond, not because you forced it, but because you became it. This is the secret so many miss. They try to make it happen, and in trying they affirm it hasn't. But the one who relaxes, who rests in the vision, who assumes it already is, that one manifests effortlessly, not through magic, but through alignment, not through control, but through surrender. And that surrender is not a defeat. It is a return to your true self, the self that knows, the self that sees, the self that speaks I am, and creates worlds. You were never meant to be at the mercy of the world. You were meant to be its master, not by domination, but by assumption, not by noise, but by stillness. The stillness of knowing that your inner world holds all the keys. The stillness of understanding that imagination is the divine spark in man. And once that spark is lit, nothing can put it out, unless you turn your attention away. So remain attentive, not with tension, but with reverence. Reverence for the sacred power within you. Speak to yourself in the silence of your heart. Speak as one who already has. Say, I am fulfilled. I am loved. I am secure. I am successful. Say it not to convince, but because it is true. And the more you say it, the more real it becomes. The more you feel it, the more the universe must bring it into form. For the universe is bound by law, and the law responds to feeling. The law responds to assumption. The law does not ask questions. It simply reflects. So you do not need to explain your desires to anyone. You do not need to justify your vision. You only need to enter the state. And once you are in the state, persist there gently. Let it soak into your bones. Let it become your new normal. And as it becomes normal to you inwardly, the world will normalize it outwardly. This is the way. This is the path. Not a path of effort, but of alignment. Not a path of striving, but of remembering. You remember who you are. You remember what you have. And in that remembrance you are free. Do not fear the delay. Delay is only the world catching up to your inner change. Do not fear the silence. Silence is the sacred space where transformation brews. Do not fear the void. The void is not emptiness. It is potential. And the one who can sit in the void with peace, trusting that the unseen is forming, is the one who will see the greatest wonders appear. For they have mastered the art of letting go. They have learned the sacred rhythm of rest. They have come home to their inner self, and there they have found all they need. There will be moments when the world still tempts you to worry. There will be days when the old thoughts whisper again. But you are no longer the same. You are aware now. You have seen the truth. And that truth is that nothing can harm the man or woman who lives in the state of their fulfilled desire. They are untouchable, for they are not reacting to the world. They are creating it. They are not chasing outcomes. They are being the outcome. And so your work each day is simple. Return to the state. Relax. Let go of the how, the when, the who. Trust the divine process. Know that all things are being arranged on your behalf, perfectly, effortlessly, and in divine time. You need not control the process. You only need to control the assumption. You only need to feel the end. And from that end you live. You speak. You move. And life becomes your mirror. You begin to realize that letting go is not an act of surrendering your power, but reclaiming it. When you release the need to control the outer, you return to the seat of control, the inner. And in that seat you realize that nothing is denied you. The only limit is your assumption. The only block is your refusal to believe. But now you believe. Now you assume. Now you rest. Not because you are done, but because you are fulfilled. Fulfillment is not waiting at the end of a journey. It is waiting inside the assumption. It is waiting for you to say yes, and mean it. It is waiting for you to feel it real. And when you do, the rest unfolds like a flower opening to the sun, naturally, silently, beautifully. The flower does not ask when it will bloom. It does not question whether it is worthy of the sun. It simply opens because it is its nature to open. You too, in the stillness of assumption, open. You unfold into the person you have always desired to be, and it no longer feels foreign or forced. It feels like coming home. You do not try to become, you recognize you already are. The very desire you once chased now radiates from you as a quiet certainty. Every moment becomes an invitation to return to that inner knowing. And when you catch yourself drifting, when you feel the pull of worry or the echo of doubt, you do not scold yourself. You gently bring yourself back. You close your eyes, take a breath, and return to the state of the wish fulfilled. You remember the truth. I am that. And in remembering you realign. The more you do this, the less you are pulled by the outer, the less you are swayed by appearances. For you have chosen the inner world as your foundation. As Neville said, you are not to concern yourself with the facts. Facts are only past assumptions made visible. You do not fight with them. You do not deny them. You simply transcend them. You assume anew. And in assuming you rise above. You are no longer the product of circumstances. You are the cause of them. You are the dreamer in the dream. And once you know this, you cannot go back to sleep. You are awake now, and the awakened man does not try. He imagines. He does not force, he feels. He does not doubt, he dwells. You do not try to make something happen in the outer world, because you understand the outer world is not where creation begins. The outer world is the screen. The inner world is the projector. And the image projected is always a result of the assumption held. So you polish the lens of your imagination. You clear away the fog of fear. You make space for clarity and precision in your inner vision. And you allow that vision to speak louder than any current condition. No longer do you plead with life to give you what you want. No longer do you beg the heavens for favor. You assume the heavens are within you. You understand that the kingdom of heaven is not a place far off. It is the state you occupy. It is the feeling of having. It is the inner conviction that what you have imagined is already yours. And from this inner kingdom all things flow. From this place of peace miracles emerge, not as anomalies, but as natural outcomes of a mastered mind. This is why you relax. This is why you let go. Not because you are passive, but because you are powerful. Not because you have given up, but because you have taken up residence in the feeling of the end. And that feeling, once established, becomes your new world. Your conversations change. Your energy shifts. Your posture reflects confidence. People sense the difference. Not because you are louder, but because you are aligned. Not because you are trying to be something, but because you are resting in your being. In that being, the universe conspires. In that being, all things are added. You don't need to plot, to strive, to manipulate. You simply trust. Not blind trust, but intelligent trust. A trust built on the deep knowing that the law is perfect, and imagination is the only reality. What you hold within will be held without. What you consent to inwardly will materialize outwardly. This is not superstition. This is the law. This is how reality is shaped. So again and again, you return to the feeling. You nourish it. You revisit the scene that implies your wish is fulfilled. You feel the tone of reality in that scene. You feel the naturalness of it. And when you rise from that session, you carry that tone into the world. You walk as the one who has. You act as though it is already done. Not to fool the world, but because the world follows your feeling. And your feeling is no longer one of lack, but of possession. You do not need to convince anyone else. You do not need to argue for your dreams. You do not even need to speak of them. Your inner state is the true prayer, the real request, and it is heard in the silence. The universe responds to what you are, not what you say. It reflects what you accept as true. So you accept it now, not in the distant future, not after proof but now. And you live from that acceptance. You breathe from that place. You sleep in that assumption. In the stillness of the night, you do not rehearse problems. You rehearse fulfillment. You do not entertain the worst-case scenario. You dwell in the best. You see it, feel it, and fall asleep in it. This is how you impress the subconscious mind. Not by force, but by repetition. Not by struggle, but by ease. And as the subconscious accepts the new assumption, the outer world must conform. It cannot help but do so, for it is obedient to your inner world. You begin to see every delay as a gift, every detour as a divine arrangement. Because your inner knowing is unshaken, you are no longer moved by time. You are moved by truth. And the truth is that you have already claimed it within. Therefore it must come without, not as a reward, but as a reflection, not as a surprise, but as a certainty. You planted the seed, you watered it with feeling, you kept the soil of your mind fertile with belief, and now the harvest comes. Others may marvel at your peace, they may wonder how you stay so grounded, but you know the secret. You know that real power is silent. It does not shout, it does not prove, it simply is. And because you are that power, you move differently. You trust more. You let go quicker. You do not cling to the outer. You return to the inner. And in that return, you find all things are given. You no longer measure your success by appearances. You measure it by your ability to feel it real. You no longer wait for evidence. You become the evidence. You no longer ask if it's working. You know it's done. This knowing becomes your anchor. It becomes your home. And from this home, you create worlds. You walk into situations that once intimidated you, now fully aware of your authority. You speak with quiet confidence. You act with bold assurance. You do not overthink, because the feeling has taken root. The state is now your dwelling. You do not visit it. You live in it. And because you live in it, the world must shape itself to accommodate you. The old fears try to whisper again, but you smile. You know they have no power here. You have seen the light, and the light dispels all shadow. You rest, you relax, and in that release you rise. The universe was never against you. It was simply waiting for you to assume the posture of one who knows. Now you know. Now you trust. Now you allow. So my friend, let this be the moment you surrender. Not to circumstance, but to truth. Let this be the moment you stop chasing and start assuming. Let this be the moment you realize that the only thing that has ever stood between you and your desire is the belief that you needed to try. You don't need to try. You need to trust. You need to enter into the feeling of the wish fulfilled and dwell there calmly, confidently, silently. The universe is not withholding anything from you. It is only echoing back the state you choose to occupy. So choose now. Choose to feel it real. Choose to rest in the knowing that it is already done, and watch as the world bends to mirror your inner conviction. Let go, relax, trust the universe, and you will witness the miraculous become your everyday reality.